For the cameras. Everybody hear? Can everybody hear me? Everybody hear okay? Really doesn't want to turn this up a little bit. Try to overpower it. While we're working on getting the music lower, I want to thank you all for coming out, for answering my emails, for coming to this update of the Hamtramck Historical Museum. We have a room full of members and donors and partners here, key and core stakeholders of the museum, and we're really looking forward to giving you an update about what we've accomplished the last decade or so, and really what we're looking forward to. I'm going to say, I was trying to get this presentation up on the screen and on this screen. And it only started working when I told it that I just don't care anymore, that fine, I'm not even going to use you, I'm not going to have a presentation. And then it decided to work. That's kind of reverse psychology. So I'll go with a couple of housekeeping items. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we're excited to get to work. We'll reminisce about the museum, where we'll talk about.
It's a really great institution.
It must be heard. We'll say, okay, all right. Thank you. So we'll get to a bit of a presentation that's not going to be a terribly long presentation. We're going to leave lots of time to just mingle, ask questions. First, we're going to kick off with the dinner, though. So I want to say some housekeeping. Be sure to tip your wait staff. We love that they came in for us on a Monday night to host us. So I want to start off by just thanking the host committee for helping organize this event, inviting everybody. I sat with Pat Hardy and talked about having a community gathering several months ago. Of course, Greg Kowalski, who's the host of everything that we do. To Tom Ichai, who you'll be hearing from a little bit later tonight, and to John Ulai. A big thank you, a special thank you to John for hosting us tonight, for having us here. I really appreciate John's just open-hearted offer to bring us together at this Hamtramck staple that has been renovated so beautifully. I love. We kept the heart and soul of the restaurant and gave us a really nice meeting space. I actually would like to invite John up. Many of you know John, the publisher of the Hamtramck Review, also 25-year veteran, commercial broker in the city, and just a staple of the community. I'd like to invite him up to kick off our dinner tonight. Thank you so much.
I'm going to keep it short. Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for attending Columbia here. And I want to thank Greg Kowalski. Thank you so much for being such an icon to the community. You are truly a pillar to this community. The Hamtramck Museum would not have been possible without you and the volunteers. Hamtramck's been transformed and it's established as an identity, because without a Hamtramck Museum, without these institutions in place, you won't have identity. And just like, not to bring up a review newspaper here, we always say in publishing here, as the owner of the newspaper, that we put the city on the map. And without a paper of record, the city of Hamtramck would not have its identity. And I thank Tom Nietzsche here for making it possible also. And every one of you members, thank you so much for attending. I want to keep it short and brief. The staff here, Polonia, and my chefs, their assistants, Yannick and Shane and the rest, etc. And thank you so much, and good afternoon, and we'll touch base.
Thank you, John. And with that, we're going to kick off dinner service. We're going to let you start eating, and then we'll get to our presentation in a little bit.
This is my grandfather's house.
All right, now it's time to get started with our presentation. Joan's coming through to drop off some dessert. All the plates are getting cleared. Now, we're going to start with an update of the hall. But first, I'd like to thank John again. Thank you, John. Thank you to Polonia. Wonderful dinner. Thank you to everybody here again for coming out on this Monday evening. So much of what the museum does is supporting the great work done in the community. And we have a lot of community partners here too that run other wonderful organizations. Whether it's partnering on large-scale projects or offering just conversational support or answering your questions about the history of Hamtramck, that is what the Hamtramck Historical Museum is here for. So I can't think of too many better people to kick off our presentation than Tom Nietzsche. He almost needs no introduction, but I will tell you that Tom is a current board member of the Friends of Historic Hamtramck Stadium and also a member of the Hamtramck Parks Conservancy. And so it's my pleasure to hand the mic over to Tom to get our presentation started. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Hamtramck Historical Museum stakeholders. We're so very happy and excited that you're here today. On behalf of Executive Director Craig Kowalski, Board Chairman Joe Kashut, Vice Chair Christopher Betlea, Secretary Sarah Cook, Treasurer Cindy Servanat, Board members Mickey Lyons, Lisa Pihota, Joan Bittner, Vera Burke, David Fiegel, and Sam Burns. A sincere thank you for coming. Thank you for your continued support, stakeholders. Without you, there would not be a Hamtramck Historical Museum. The museum bank began in 2013, and now in 2025, with your generosity, large-scale operational and structural improvements are being planned. However, for the plans to be implemented, your help is needed again. I'm Tom Nietzsche, retired superintendent from Hamtramck Public Schools from 2007 to 2019. I also was an administrator and teacher in Hamtramck Public Schools. It was an honor and privilege to work for Hamtramck Public Schools for 41 years. So I'm no young kid. The topic of my presentation is what Hamtramck Historical Museum means to the city. There's a well-known notion that has been attributed to Anglo-Irish philosopher Edmund Burke, British statesman Winston Churchill, and many others who had said, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Those that don't learn history are doomed to make mistakes again. There's no better place to learn and explore Hamtramck's history, good and bad, than the museum. I can tell you through the voice of several people how important the museum is to Hamtramck. When the museum recognized Hamtramck Stadium and Turkey Stearns Field at Veterans Park, Joe Merrick, one of the people that were very much affected by this. Joe is a longtime friend. He's also a longtime Hamtramck resident. He's a Hamtramck High School graduate, an athlete and coach at the high school, and was headed to security and played at Hamtramck Stadium. Through the local paper, the Hamtramck Review, an exhibit at the museum, the state historical marker, and word of mouth in the community is how Joe found out about Hamtramck Stadium. We had breakfast together at Main Street Restaurant, and we talked about it. Joe's eyes honestly sparkled. There was spring in his step and pure joy throughout his body as he walked out of the restaurant. Nationally recognized Negro Leagues expert and baseball historian Gary Gillette made people aware through the research and writing, through his research and writings. Why is this important? It's important because African Americans were not allowed to play Major League Baseball in Detroit or in any Major League city for that matter. Yet Hamtramck, yes, our wonderful Hamtramck welcomed the Negro players with open arms. Without Gillette, the museum, star player Turkey Stearns, who by the way was such a great player that his statistics from the Negro League were recently included in the Major League Record Book, surpassing Ty Cobb. That's amazing. There, also board member Yvonne Myrick and former high school and Hamtramck School principal Corey Pitts, who related to me the excitement of why the stadium was important. I'll share with that in a little while. But first, let me tell you about Roger Zatkoff. Roger Zatkoff was a star football player for Hamtramck High School, the Michigan Wolverines, and the Detroit Lions. He was also a successful businessman, and last summer his family generously donated a playscape for younger children at Veterans Park. It's a high-quality, modern, safe structure featuring climbers, tunnels, slides, swings, and shades. And of course, you can learn about Roger Zatkoff at the museum. Before the ribbon cutting ceremony at the park, the celebration began at the Hamtramck Historical Museum. The playscape truly is top-notch. Please, check it out. It is as good, if not better, than any playscape in the metropolitan area. As you know, our young people are an extremely valuable resource, if not our most important. Every year, there's an important day recognized throughout the nation. It's not an obscure day, but many people never heard of it. It's National History Day. The Historical Society of Michigan encourages students to explore local, state, and national histories and write about it. For the last several years, the research about Hamtramck's history was done by Hamtramck High School students. They'd come to the museum, did their research, wrote a paper, came back, and made a presentation to their classmates, their teacher, museum volunteers, and a social studies expert and consultant from Wayne RESA, which is the Wayne Regional Education Association. What is so important is that this past year, 2 different classes went to the museum and did their research, did their paper, did their presentation, and 2 of those students have been selected for the state finals, which is truly remarkable. That's Hamtramck, that's the Hamtramck Museum. I mean, there's no other place you can do that. You know, textbooks nowadays, there's no local history. It's all national history. And it's not only here in Hamtramck, but throughout the nation. You can't buy a history book for public schools or charter schools, for that matter, without having anything about your local district in it. So you have to get it from the public library, and you have to get it from the museum. And that's what these kids did. And again, that's truly impressive. That's Hamtramck and the Hamtramck Historical Museum. Also formally recognized in the museum are Hamtramck tennis people. Tennis legends Gene Hoxsey and Peaches Markowitz. The famous Hoxsey wall, where players have to hit the wall 100 consecutive times without missing before being allowed to step on the court, has been restored by the Friends of Peaches, and a beautiful plaque was sponsored by the Herbert Fisher family. It's now on the side of the wall. Hoxsey tutored Jackie Kennedy, yes, JFK's wife. And Peaches played at Wimbledon, the French Open, and the US Open. The work done by Walter Orline, who's graced us with his presence here today, Jeff Stassen, and the Hoxsey tennis team at Veterans Park are amazing. A first-class group of Hamtramck tennis supporters. Now, museums are important keepers and teachers of history. The Arab American Museum in Dearborn, the Polish Cultural Center in Troy, the Polish Art Center here in Hamtramck, the Charles Wright African Museum in Detroit, the Ukrainian American Museum in Hamtramck are very much needed and necessary. People need to understand and learn their heritage. It's normal and natural for people to be with others that speak the same language, look like they do, and share the same religious beliefs. There are, of course, Bengali, Bosnian, Albanian, and Sikh gathering centers that are also very important. What makes the Hamtramck Historical Museum special and different and also valuable is that you can learn about all the different ethnic groups right there in Joe Campo. The more you learn about each other, the better you understand them, the better you understand yourself. No man is an island. Every man is part of the world, a part of the Maine. We need each other, no matter race, religion, background, or upbringing. We do need each other. Yvonne Myrick was one of the prominent civil rights fighters in Hamtramck history. There were others like James Seifers, Juanita Seifers, Ida Perry, Vera Burke, who's a board member here, Wallace Mills, and many others. Including Martha G. Scott from Highland Park is another amazing fighter. As a Wayne County Commissioner, it was Martha who fought for Kona to be repaid. However, it was Mrs. Myrick who organized the city employees in forming a union. Mrs. Myrick became president of the Hamtramck Board of Education after the untimely death of, at the time, board president, Titus Walters. When Mrs. Myrick became aware of the historical significance of Hamtramck Stadium, to put it mildly, she was excited. She called me at my desk numerous times and talked about African American players playing baseball at a place that I never heard of. It existed here in Hamtramck, and that's DeQuinder Field. She talked about friends who had knowledge of African American ball players. She talked about the buzz in the barbershops where African American males gathered and talked and talked. She talked about the buzz in the churches. And every time African Americans gathered, Mrs. Myrick could talk and talk and talk some more. I have tremendous love and respect for her. But, again, Mrs. Myrick could talk and talk and talk. After one of our early calls, I remember thinking, come on, Mrs. Myrick, I have to get busy. I have to get going here. I'm responsible for a $40 million operation. I'm responsible for the education of 3,000 students, evaluating staff. It was, staff supervision. So I had stuff to do, just to put it mildly. But after one of her calls, the tone in Mrs. Myrick's voice made me realize how important it was for Hamtramck's African Americans to be recognized on such a large scale. So I finally had an aha moment. I realized just to come to work 30 minutes earlier, stay up half hour late, and join Mrs. Myra's stories. And in fact, they were wonderful, heartwarming stories. Corey Pitts is a former principal here in Hamtramck Public Schools, whose boundaries included the Hamtramck homes, which are public housing. What Corey said was simple yet powerful. He said that you have no idea what this means to the many families in public housing. I can't wait to tell them about the Negro Leagues having a team in Hamtramck. Thanks for your attention, stakeholders, and the key word today is impressive. That's Hamtramck, and that's a Hamtramck Historical Museum. That's you, stakeholders. Impressive. Hope you enjoy the rest of the evening, and thanks to the host committee, Patricia Hardy, Greg Kowalski, John Ulai, and Sarah Cook. I sincerely enjoyed working with all of you. But before I hand the mic back to Sarah, I'd like to acknowledge some public officials. He hasn't shown up yet, but he did say he was attending City Manager Max Garbrino, and Hamtramck Fire Chief Matthew Wojciechowski. Matt, please stand. Let him see you. Former Hamtramck Mayor Karen Majewski. Hamtramck Board of Education Trustee Linda Stakowitz Volenik. Hamtramck Parks Conservancy Director Thomas Habitz. And Hamtramck TV Channel 19 Executive Director Greg Kirchner. I'm supposed to stop here, but I'm not going to, because I have just a quick story, but it really is an amazing story from an amazing man about an amazing group of people. In preparing for this activity, I met with Craig Kowalski and Sarah Cook 4 different times. We talked, and each and every time, Mr. Kowalski said to me, I am extremely lucky to have the board members that I have. And he named every single name. And he told me how great they were. And some of them I knew, some I did not. I said, okay, Greg, okay. We met again about a week later, same thing. He starts talking about the board members again. And it was just so impressive. Go back home, I write my little speech, and I send it to him for his approval. And he said, no, this is no good, and what's the matter with this guy? And he said, it's too much about me. I don't want anything about me, so like half my speech had to be changed because of, Greg Kowalski. But that's the kind of guy he is. And the board members here are truly remarkable. I can't say enough about Cindy Cervenak. I believe Cindy has been here since day one. And the museum opened in 2013. And in case you forgot, because I did that a little while ago, it's the year 2025. She's been doing all this work for free. And she truly is amazing and remarkable. And of course, her husband Tom is a grant writer, and of course, her friend, Joan Bittner is always helping at her side. But all these people truly are absolutely wonderful. And Sarah Cook, Sarah Cook. Okay, I'll take it away. I'll give it up in a minute. Sarah Cook is the president of the Automobile Hall of Fame in Dearborn. That's amazing. So what we're trying to do here, and Sarah will tell you more about it, but I'm going to be the hard guy. We are asking for you to help. When you walk out, there's going to be a little card, and if you would be so kind as to donate some money, and Sarah's going to tell you what it's going to be going for. There's even envelopes if you want to do a check, you can pick that up. But even more than that, we want you to be permanent. We want you to come back over and over and over again. And being active members, just not one time write a check and forget it. We're not you know, the United Way where you just write a check and then, you know, forget about it. This is Hamtramck. These are the people, I mean, just extremely proud, hardworking, honest people. And remember, 2013, Cindy Cervenak, Greg Kowalski. And Greg, you know, I was, you know, he shook me up there when he told me that my speech was no good. So I thought I was smart. I go to Sarah, you know, Sarah, maybe you could talk. You know, make some sense to her. And she tried. But my gosh, what a great group, what a great organization. We are so fortunate to have the museum here. And with that being said, I will give up the mic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I thought both speeches were wonderful. Maybe we'll publish the other one. Okay, there's so many sentiments that Tom touched on that I'd really like to echo. Amazing city, amazing support, the openness to partner. We have other organizations here in the audience. The working on projects together, it is truly phenomenal. So Tom talked a bit about what preserving history means to Hamtramck and what the Hamtramck Historical Museum means to Hamtramck. We agree, it's a wonderful resource. And in this report that I'm about to share, we are happy to share that the museum, if you couldn't tell from what Tom had shared, the museum is excelling at being a meeting place, bringing people together, being a destination for visitors, through the great partnerships, through the community support, and the leadership, the amazing leadership that this organization has had. So the museum is a growing community asset. Okay, so let's jump into what we're doing. We're not going to keep here all night, so I'm hoping to keep this pretty high level, pretty brief. So we offer programs. That's the heart of what we do. We have several programs listed here. Tom mentioned History Day. That's taken some state notice, the way that we've worked with the high school. We've bridged to Wayne Risa. We've also had big projects going on with Wayne State University. And the Archaeology Day, you might have heard of that happening. It actually brings students out. Actually, this, the bottom, what side is that? The bottom left-hand picture. That is UD Mercy students helping archive some of the donated items. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to point to the top left one. That's the archaeology one. That's the Wayne State University archaeology field method class coming in and doing a day of outreach. I'm not sure if they brought the stuff they dug up, but they're engaging with the community. We also have a couple programs that we've been doing for 10 years that Cindy and Joan and Greg started, the Hungry for History evening events and the tours that they do around St. Florian and the city. So that's at the heart of everything we do is the programs that we're bringing out into the community. Really what makes those programs possible is we have a building to serve out of. So there's no small part of the importance that our building is to us. The building was donated in 2013, and it was a wonderful, generous gift from the Fink and Iden family, but it did need a lot of work. So in the past decade, we restored the ceiling, we did the mural installation, lots of structural repairs, and I want to get this correct. And actually, I think the next slide is a better slide to illustrate this. We're going through time. Far on your left is what the building looked like when we first got there. We had a bunch of stuff in the building. I actually wasn't part of the museum at that time. I'm fascinated by this photo. You have roughly the same vantage point in all of these photos. You're looking at the same wall. How many people have been into the museum? Everybody here has been into the museum. Okay, so you've seen it currently in that far right, but go back to 10 years ago when you couldn't walk through the museum, when it was decorated like the dollar store that it had been, when it was all low ceilings and fluorescent lighting. And I think, what did Greg say about it? When the carpet looked like a crime scene, I think was the exact quote. So there's been Herculean amount of work done on the Hamtramck Historical Museum on a very lean budget because we have some amazing, dedicated volunteers, many of whom are on our board. From the ceiling to the carpet, from the structural repairs, upgrades and heating. You can see in that center photo, everyone's wearing their jacket. That was before the heating went in. People were still coming out to join with community. So no small amount of this work, or I should say a big amount of this credit, really goes to Tom Cervenak sitting with us in the audience. Not the least of which was the lighting project. He brought into the museum 25 master electricians over 2 Saturdays, completely rewired 3 floors, put new lights in. I think we estimated the project at over $100,000. You can see what that work did to the ongoing operation. So really what we're talking about over the past 10 years is opening up the first floor, the main floor of the museum, to the public and to activating for the public. So it's only been 8 years since the Historical Museum opened. Wait, am I right? Did I do the math right? 11 years. It's been 11 years. So sorry, this middle photo was taken in 2022, and I did pull this quote because I just thought this was very good. So in this middle photo, that was a post from social media in 2022, and it says, "It's only been 8 years since the Hamtramck Historical Museum opened, and in the early days, just visiting the museum was a challenge. The interior was a wreck. The poor guests had to wear their coats during events. And take note of the ceiling and the green walls. It's a lot better now, but it can be much better still." And it said in the post, because it was a fundraising post to help us get the carpet redone, it said, "You can help. We still need to do a lot." Well, and you did. The community turned out, our member base turned out, and pushed this even further. And I bring up the time when Greg and I were talking and putting this together. We thought it was really important to bring that up because everything we've done over these past 11 years has really garnered a lot of support for the city of Hamtramck, but also has put us in a lot of documentary and journalism. We've actually gotten statewide and national recognition. And it's because of this immense amount of work that's gone into the building that's allowed us to actually serve these programs up. And it's with the support of everybody in this room that makes this happen. The second important thing that we talk about, not just that we've garnered this great visibility, but that, like that 2022 post said, and the work's not done yet, we still feel that way. We still have a vision for the future. So the point of this update isn't really to update you on the past. And I flew through a lot of the programs that we're doing. And there's some really great work being done of new exhibitry going in, of new programs being launched, of new partnerships with major institutions. And I'm happy to talk ad nauseum about all of those, but really the point of this presentation is to take a moment to celebrate that, because everybody in this room made that happen, because it is amazing. It's truly amazing. But we really want to talk about what's not done yet, too. So the leadership of this institution has been so strong. And the museum is in a really good financial position. I come from a nonprofit background and I work in museums, and not all museums can say that. It's something to really be celebrated. And the programs are thriving. And the community is engaged. By coming out here tonight, this community is engaged. And we see that this institution means, and we see what it can mean more to Hamtramck. A shining jewel of Joseph Campo, gathering space, a resource, vital. It can be all. It is and can be all of these things. So we are stable and sustainable. And this is just a bit of the business as we are now. We're operated by the Friends of Historical Hamtramck, 501c3. But the great news, we operate with no debt. We own our own property. We have core, passionate volunteers. We have a very strong member base. We look at this and we say, we have these two amazing assets that we can leverage. We have this fantastic, historic 100-year-old building, and we have it operated by a passionate volunteer base. I mean, I'm going to rephrase this because we can also say, our biggest challenges that threaten our sustainability is our building is 100 years old, and we are all volunteer. So this is what we're looking at today. These are the challenges that we are going to tackle. And just to give you this core stakeholder group a glimpse into what these challenges mean and what our fundraising is behind, and as we go out there and working on grants or talking to community members or engaging that next group of service professionals that come push the museum to the next level, is we're looking at, I think we've got all the leaking control in the basement. That's a huge coup. We can start to look at getting our elevator working. We can look at, we're going to need to repair a roof. We're going to want to look at the facade. We want it to be that jewel of Hamtramck, the beautiful storefront. Our foundation seal, the windows. These are the critical repairs needed. Not to mention, we have an archive. We have over 10,000 items. They need to be cataloged. They need to be cared for. They need to be stewarded. We have a museum floor of exhibitry that we want to keep updating and engaging new community to come in and tell their stories. There's a whole host of non-critical upgrades that we want to do as well, but our building needs to be taken care of. And we're also facing a leadership transition. Now this is, so I'm up here giving this update, and I worked with Greg, as Tom had mentioned, we worked with Greg over the past several months to really say what are the key themes, and that up to this point, I've been very good at keeping this focused on the museum. As Tom alluded to, as Greg really wants, it is a community project. It is a joint project we're all working on, but I mean, I think everybody here knows we have been blessed, absolutely blessed to have been led by Greg Kowalski, to have his time, his expertise, his dedication. And as I worked on this with Greg to prepare, we talked a lot about what he gave and accomplished personally. And this presentation, it's been very hard for me because he really didn't want me to lean into how much he has meant to the museum. And I don't know that I can tell the story of the museum without saying how much he has meant to the museum. Not to underwrite anybody else's amazing contributions to the museum, but he's the heart of it. And I think in some respect he knows it. I know he's not just that he is key, but he is also passionate about how much this is a shared project, how much we all own it together, how he could not do it alone, how much he thoroughly enjoys working with everyone who gives to this museum. I met Greg in 2015, and I personally found a kinship, I found a mentor, I found inspiration in what I do. So it's really hard not to be effusive, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job. At least the slide that we worked on together is, he's a journalist, author of 11 books on Hamtramck, executive director of the museum. So Greg launched the role of executive director, I think if my memory serves, at coercion from the board in 2018-ish. He's been the administrator, an exhibit curator, a program director, he's liaised with the community, he's been the head marketer, he's authored articles, he's a go-to resource for Hamtramck research and knowledge. He truly is Hamtramck's historian, Hamtramck's biographer, a position that he intends to keep. The rest of it, though, Greg is taking a step back from, with our full support. He's taking a step back from the day-to-day management. So these are the two activities that we're fundraising on. We know we need to care for our building, and that's where we deliver our programs, and that's where we house the repository of Hamtramck. And we are on the precipice of hiring our first full-time position, our first paid position, a step towards professionalizing the Hamtramck Historical Museum. So the capital improvements can make sure we continue to be good stewards of our collection and growing our collection. And the full-time position means we can be good stewards for the heart of the museum. So we don't have the budget laid out yet. We don't have the fundraising goal amount to share today. This is not really a kickoff to fundraising for these initiatives. This is an update of where we're heading and our major activities for the coming months and years. I know though, right now, you're probably asking yourself, but what can you do for the museum? So it's all the routine things that you can do. Should you want to engage, the time, volunteering. David in the back corner has launched a formal volunteer program. So we have volunteer job assignments, your talent, I don't know if you do audit work or bookkeeping, any specialized talent that you have, we'd love to hear about it. Of course, we always take donations. We put that to great work. We want you to tell others of our programs. You are our boots on the ground. You need to tell us about the relevancy of our institution to you, and we need you to tell others about the importance of this museum to Hamtramck. And with that, I would like to say thank you again. Thank you for your attention, first of all. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for being a partner. Thank you for being a donor and a supporter of the Hamtramck Museum, and just know that you are continuing to make this happen. So thank you. I don't know if that warrants any questions, but if anybody had any burning questions, I would be happy to direct them to others.
I did want to add that this one student that went to state finals for History Day is actually moving on to the Nationals. So she will be going to Maryland in June. So that's exciting.
We did get a $5,000 grant from, who did we get it from? And they redid the bathroom. So if you haven't seen our bathroom, come to the bathroom.
And I don't know that they shut the bar down yet, so I'm going to release you to please visit with all the board members, ask any questions.
Would you have the board members stand up?
Oh, please, board members, stand up. Current board members. There's any former board members here? Former board members.
Well, Mayor was. Mayor Majewski used to be a board member.
Oh, yeah, before we had a museum.
Well, you're meeting in the park outside City Hall. So, what's that? Oh, is John back there? What's that?
I'll never be so like that. It always comes
Oh yeah? You're better red
Oh.
it's a good cause. It's a noble cause, and Greg Kowalski is a noble man. So it's an honor to honor the man. It was the institutions I did, the museums that they wanted to throw. They had chosen a historic institution like Polonia, and I'm honored to serve the people of this community and the historicity of Hamtramck and the museum.
Because she was on
Cardinals have to retire at 75. That's before the historical museum.
So I was just telling this story. We were a part of Governor Granholm's Cities of Promise. There were 6 to 8 cities, I can't remember, the poorest cities in the state of Michigan that were designated Cities of Promise. And we worked with the various different departments within the state on different projects. But every city of promise had a signature project. And the mayor got to name what that signature project would be. And I said, we need a historical museum. And that's how we got a historical museum and the funding and the state support to create a museum.
Thank you.